All right, guys, draft season is finished, and it is Wednesday of week one of the fantasy football season. And you know what that means. It's time for me to bring you some matchup previews. And we're going to start off in week one, a battle of father versus son, epic battle. Joe versus Rich, of course, is what I'm talking about here. Joe's team, better than it's been in years, still finds the time to cry and bitch about the hard work we put into drafting his team for him. Pretty incredible that you would complain about that, considering it's almost a certainty you would have drafted a worse team than that. That being said, your team's still just meh. It's okay, but it's worlds ahead of what you've done in years past. So Saquon Barkley, love the rookie, but super tough week one matchup with the Jags. If you wouldn't have told me to steer away from Cowboys, you would have had Zeke Elliott just because of the rankings and where it fell. You got the better player. Saquon's better for fantasy. He's better in real life, better player, but he's probably going to get off to a slow start. So you're going to have to be patient with Saquon. Resident criminal and horrible human being LaShawn McCoy is going to get his ass kicked against the Ravens. He's going to get absolutely gobbled up. This is going to be a one-sided beatdown. He's not going to do anything. Hideous matchup. On the plus side of things, Trey Burton should feast on the Packers. My bold prediction for Joe, and by the way, guys, I'm hitting you guys each with a bold prediction from every team. So bold prediction from Joe, Trey Burton goes for 80 yards and a touchdown en route to a Bears upset win over the Packers. Now on to Rich. Rich also has a very meh team. We need to – so Alvin Kamara is an animal. He's going to have a huge week. He's going to have a huge season. We need to talk about Antonio Gates for a second, Rich, because this is the kind of crap that gets you booted out of the league after 1 year. Antonio Gates is 175 years old. He doesn't belong in your flex. He does not belong on your bench. He does not belong on your roster. You need to get rid of Gates, go find somebody else. That is not a rosterable play. Just because you know somebody's name doesn't mean you pick him up and put him into your lineup. Gates hasn't been relevant in a very long time, and he's not relevant this year. So my prediction here is Joe takes this one in a close matchup over his son, 97-90. So on to the battle of two of the worst drafts that we had. We have Tony Sr. versus Matt Mers. Let's dive right in and just make some bold statements here. As I've been saying, Zeke is not going to be the superstar that you think he is, Mers. I don't care what your buddies that don't watch football told you because he's ranked higher or whatever. He's not going to be the stud you think he is. He's playing behind a banged-up offensive line, and quite frankly, they cannot handle Luke Kuechly. I suspect they're going to lean on Dak a little more than you would think in this one because the Panthers can't cover anyone. They can't cover not even Cole Beasley and Allen Hurns and Terrence Williams. I think Dak Prescott has a decent day here. Zeke Elliott, not so much. My bold prediction for Zeke, 25 carries, 70 yards, no score. He'll throw in some passing down work too. I don't want to get into that. So team homer pick, Tony Sr., foolishly drafted the Jags defense super early, foregoing getting any depth at running back whatsoever. So he's stuck playing Jamal Williams against the Bears, which was an unplayable matchup before the Bears got Khalil Mack. So Aaron Rodgers is seriously wetting his bed before this game. He doesn't want any part of Khalil Mack. Jamal Williams is going to get eaten up. Amari Cooper, by the way, who I wasn't going to discuss in this, but Senior decided to try and brag about him again. I've noticed that Amari Cooper's already taking up his rightful spot on your bench, where he's going to reside pretty much most of the season because you're not going to realize you need to cut him. So also, I gave Senior the chance to, just like I did with you last year, Steve, when I gave you an opportunity to get rid of Dez Bryant, trying to help you. And you wouldn't, but it worked out for you because Tony Jr. bailed you out. The problem with Amari Cooper is we all know he's garbage. Even Tony Jr. knows that. So Amari Cooper belongs in free agency. And we're going to see how he does in relation to Marcus Goodwin this year. I think Goodwin's going to have a better year. So on the plus side of things, Melvin Gordon should run all over the Chiefs. The entire Chargers offense is likely to feast on the Chiefs. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. My bold prediction is Melvin Gordon outscores Ezekiel Elliott by no less than 7 fantasy points this week. My prediction here, Pack Attack wins this one in a landslide. Not going to be close. Defending league champion, myself, versus annual Golden Douche contender, Steve. Where do you think this one's going to go? So Steve currently has 2 guys going against Denver in Denver on opening day. Wilson is absolutely unplayable. I don't believe for 1 second Steve's going to play Russell Wilson or Chris Carson. Look for Steve to go dumpster diving for a quarterback, most likely Andy Dalton, who's playing against the Colts, which honestly is a much better matchup. Bold prediction, though, in the event that he does decide to be a tard and stick with Wilson, Wilson finishes this game with less than 10 fantasy points. It's going to happen. Book it. On the plus side of things for Steve, Brown and Allen should both have monster games, especially no Le'Veon Bell there for Antonio Brown. They ought to have that passing attack is going to feast on the Browns. Allen's going to have a big yardage week, but Allen doesn't score touchdowns, so he'll stay out of the end zone. On my side of things, I pulled off the absolute genius move of trading away Lev Bell instead of facing James Conner, Steve gets to look forward to a matchup with super stud Leonard Fournette against the always delicious Giants defense. So the running back I'm really hyped about, though, is Christian McCaffrey. He's got a tougher matchup than you would think on paper. The Cowboys have a healthy Sean Lee, and Sean Lee is a difference maker against the running back position. I'm going to go on a limb and say McCaffrey roasts him anyway. So McCaffrey, my bold prediction, is going to go to the tune of over 150 combined yards from scrimmage and a score. Winner, of course, Steve hasn't beaten me in like 3 years. He's not going to beat me here. I take this one easily. So our second to last matchup, Tony versus Jared. The race for the Golden Douche kicks off. So let's talk about some positives here before I get into the negatives. Jared's got Drew Brees, Gronk, and Kenyon Drake, all fantastic options this week. Unfortunately, Odell Beckham Jr. is drawing Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye, so he's not going to do anything this week. If he gets it done against the Jags, he can do it against anybody. The Bears D. Look, here's the thing, Jared. I love my Bears, and I think they're a great defense, and getting Khalil Mack was huge. But let's not go crazy here. You cannot play them at Green Bay on opening day, dude. If you want any shot at winning, go find a different defense. That's a terrible, terrible decision. You got to fix it. My bold prediction for Jared, though, is that Jarvis Landry is going to be the leading wide receiver in this game over A.J. Green, Odell Beckham Jr., and Adam Thielen. Jarvis Landry is going to eat against the Steelers. Speaking of guys that are going to eat, on to Tony, David Johnson is going to eat. He's playing the Redskins. Picking David Johnson over Le'Veon Bell was potentially a questionable decision up until now. Now it looks like a genius decision. So kudos to you for being completely cowardly and risk averse, as you always are. So the Minnesota defense will not be as good a play as you think against Jimmy G and San Fran. My bold prediction, though, for Tony is that Carlos Hyde outscores Jerick McKinnon. There you go, Tony. There's your bold prediction. Winner, Tony Jr. Jared, you got to fix some holes to get a vote. Sorry, buddy. On to the final game, Jason versus Reese in a mini Best Friends Bowl. Reese, you got to be doing cartwheels right now, not having to face Le'Veon Bell this week. Even still, Jason has some good matchups. He's not going to be a pushover. Notably, Cam Newton, DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, Rex Burkhead, all set up for huge games. My bold prediction for Jason is that D-Hop finds the end zone twice against the Patriots. Reese, your entire team depends on the Rams every week. Basically, Rams and Vikings. That's it. If the Rams have a down week, Reese is screwed. But spoiler alert, that down week is not coming against the Raiders. My bold prediction for Reese is that Reese slaps Steve in the face at the end of the season so hard it leaves a bright red handprint on Steve's cheek for all of next season. But about the matchup, my bold prediction is that Jared Goff outscores Cam Newton this week, which will lead to Uber Homer Reese rolling with Goff as his QB for way too long. He'll talk about how he's taken another step forward and Goff is going to be an MVP candidate. And it's potentially going to cost him games later on in the year. So there you go. There's your matchup. Oh, by the way, he's going to win this game. I mean, he's going to win. So there's that. So there we go. There's your matchup previews. And I will see you guys on Tuesday for the recap.